a man tries that whole, you tripping, you crazy, that he's really gaslighting you, that he's playing in your face. He's trying to make you feel like guilty or responsible for you peeping game, for you realizing or at least seeing through his nonsense, right? They're seeing through the BS. But there's another phrase that a lot of women aren't as vigilant about as they need to be. And that's whenever a man starts using that whole, all you like to do is argue. All you like to do is argue. Here you go again, fussing and fight. All you want to do is fight with me. All you doing is. If you hear that from your man, and all you were really doing is presenting your feelings in a way that kind of made him uncomfortable, but you were just communicating about like what's something that you want to be better, first thing he's doing is letting you know that he does not care about your safety. I'm gonna just keep it real with you. That's what I was telling my Self-Crown VIP member. She said she started watching me just to better understand and communicate with her man in a way that he could understand. But no matter what she does, he always shuts her down with, all you want to do is argue. All you want to do is argue. So she's sitting there asking me, well, Derek, how do I not argue with him, but speak to him? And I said, look, first off, what I'm going to always do is encourage you guys to be accountable. That's what I do. That's what I encourage you to do. Accountable first with yourself and make sure that you're approaching things correctly. So if you could check the box on how you're talking and you know that it's respectful, you know that it's not accusatory or jumping to conclusions, you know that you're not using the wrong tone, anything like that. You're simply looking to communicate. And even whenever you do everything right, despite how you might feel, he still shuts you down with the whole, all you like to do is argue. Again, the first thing he's letting you know is he does not want to make you feel safe. He's refusing the opportunity to make you feel safe. And I want to be very careful about that make word. He's refusing the opportunity to provide a safe environment for your feelings. Okay? The second thing he's letting you know is, and this is how you need to hear it, if you know that you're not arguing, if you know that you're communicating effectively, the second thing he's telling you whenever he says that whole you like to argue is that your feelings are unimportant. Your feelings are inconvenient. Your feelings are unimportant. Your feelings are not a priority. He could care less. They don't feel good. Therefore, keep him out of his face. When a lot of times in these situations with a man, you only really gave him a chance to go past the first date because he presented to you a version of himself that cared about your feelings, that was willing to treat them as important. At the end of the day, I mean, yes, we are responsible for our emotional state first and foremost. But when you let somebody in emotional proximity to you, you're giving them the ability to influence your emotions, your feelings. You're giving them the ability to impact that. That's just common sense, right? So when you're dealing with a man that shuts you down, that all you like to do is argue whenever you're trying to present how you feel to him, he's letting you know this, like at best now, your feelings are unimportant. And you need to hear it as such. The reason why I'm telling you what it really means behind these phrases is so that you can know how to maneuver in order to protect yourself. Or another thing that he might be meaning behind the whole phrase of all you like to do is argue, here you come again, and he ain't really allowing the conversation to have any type of root. He's not allowing any space to be made for what you have to say. He may actually be a good guy. But what he is telling you whenever he says all you like to do is argue is that y'all are mentally unequally yoked. Yeah, like a guy can be good, have a heart of gold, give you the shirt off his back, if he can understand what you're saying. But he can't, because your emotional intelligence is on a level that is honestly just superior to his. It's not to say he's a bad guy. Let me just emphasize this. I'm gonna give my brother some credit on this. It's a lot of great guys who simply cannot hang. They simply cannot match you when it comes to emotional intelligence. So as you're saying to him, let's say you're saying something like, you know what, spouse or boyfriend, I feel like the way that you talk to me, the tone that you take, some of the words that you use, they invalidate me on an emotional level. And maybe that's not your intention, but that's absolutely the impact that you're having whenever you speak to me in the way that you speak to me. And I want to come to a resolution. I want to find a common ground that works for both of us. So you may say that to him, and guess what he heard? Meow, 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 meow. Like for real, he does not understand what you're saying. And maybe he's dumb, maybe he's not dumb, whatever. We ain't trying to just sit here and shame and bash men, but you got to be able to call a spade a spade. If you have a PhD level emotional intelligence because of what you've been through, because of what you've read, because of the work that you've done on yourself, because of what you studied, because of what was modeled to you as you came up, you got to understand everybody ain't got the same starting point as you. And you may be at an age where you're not caring for somebody to overcome that learning curve. If they're at the big old age of 45, 50 or something like that, you may not feel like you got another 10, 15 years for him to catch up. So then you just have to accept it for what it is. He's a great guy, but we're not going for good and great. We're going for evolved. I always talk about that, so I'll talk about it later, but we're not going for good and great. So he may not have the emotional competence to love you properly. It may be somebody else that's better for him, that speaks that same preschool level language that he's on, but you need somebody who at least has a bachelor's or a master's to hang with you if you at PhD level emotional intelligence. Maybe a good guy, but not good enough in that regard. Another thing that he may be saying whenever he pulls the whole, all you like to do is argue is, you know what? And this is much more manipulative. This ain't dealing with a good guy no more. But what he's saying then is, I want you to feel guilty for communicating how you feel. Because if you feel guilty, you're going to feel discouraged to speak on how you feel. And if you feel discouraged to speak on how you feel, I get to enjoy a relationship that's strictly about me and what I want. Definitely narcissistic, by the way. So whenever he pulls that, all you like to do is argue, whatever, be very, very discerning. If there's malicious intent to discourage you from speaking up and validating how you feel. Because if he's trying to do this, there's an erosion that can happen over time of you even being in this man's presence. You can't downgrade the relationship to just friends. You can't give it some time. That means his whole heart is wrong about even being with you. And you're going to learn to be just as unloving to yourself as he is to you, just to tolerate being in his life. Because like we discussed before, it's a frequency thing. So if you're in a situation where a man wants you to feel bad for even speaking up on how you feel, as opposed to a man who truly loves you, maybe he don't understand or agree with you, but still encourages you to speak on how you feel because that better equips him and better allows him to love you. But you're dealing with somebody who wants you to feel bad for simply saying, I'm hurt by something that you're doing. I'm offended by something that you said. I'm uncomfortable with a certain way that you're moving. I'm not all the way secure in the way that the relationship is set up right now, in the trajectory and what we've been on. I don't really like how other people are, the boundaries are not there on our friends and our family. If you got that kind of situation where you can't even speak on that, it's not welcome. No matter how you speak on it, your man may be letting you know that he wants you to not speak on how you feel, period. He doesn't want you to even feel valid in it. He wants you to feel guilty for speaking on that, for even feeling that kind of way. And the last thing a man may be communicating to you whenever he says, all you like to do is argue. Every time I come home, all you want to do is da-da-da-da-da-da. He may be communicating, look, I'm going to fault you for the fact that I don't warrant the safest version of you. I'm going to blame you for the fact that I'm not doing what I need to do to make you feel safe. Very, very similar to the last one, or at least the one where I was talking about your feelings are unimportant. But when a man is going to fault you, what he's saying there is not necessarily that your feelings aren't important. They may be important, but it's important that he doesn't get uncomfortable for the way that he's showing up or lack thereof in a relationship. So now he's going to make it about your personality, your proclivities, your predispositions, to always fault find, to always find a problem, to always have an issue. You get what I'm saying? Does that make sense to anybody? So he's going to make sure that he doesn't have to look in the mirror and challenge himself to be better in the relationship for the relationship that he wants, but rather you should feel some type of way for your personality or your common sense, rather, for your intuition and the fact that you're going to listen to your intuition. You should feel bad for that. He's going to fault you for requiring more of him, when more than likely, like I said before, you only gave him a chance because he presented himself as somebody that could actually deliver more than what you were used to. Otherwise, he could have let you mind your business. You were doing just fine before you met him. And in all of these situations, once again, you cannot go for a good guy or somebody that presents good aspects of himself. You have to reserve yourself for somebody who is on your level, not just in terms of their competence, not just in terms of their financial or how they look or where they at in the dating market, but also in terms of their values. Because regardless if a man agrees with you, disagrees with you, or whatever, if that man loves you, he's wanting the opportunity to make adjustments to better love you, to care for you, to make you feel safe. Even if he's not the most selfless person in the world, he could be selfish as they come. If he's smart, he understands that a properly loved woman is going to yield him the relationship that he wants. A properly loved woman is going to give him the peace a lot of us say we want in a relationship. A properly loved woman is going to give us the sexual needs being met on a regular basis that we really want, because women are more emotionally wired than men. We all know that. So if he's not even smart, he's going to pull this card without making space. And again, I want to reiterate the context that we're not talking about, just any old situation. There is a such thing as a woman, you wanting to argue because you're upset and you're more so reacting as opposed to responding. You're expressing your emotion instead of communicating and relaying where you're at emotionally. There is a difference. But if you know that you're doing the right thing, if you know and you check those boxes, that you are simply communicating, you're not arguing or trying to pick a fight. In fact, you're trying to do the exact opposite. You're trying to get rid of the fight that's already going internally because you know you're not getting treated up to the standard that you deserve. If that's the case and all he does is hit you with that, that man is emotionally dangerous to continue giving access to. And there's an evolved man out there who is looking for the opportunity to love a woman who can not only communicate what she needs, but is so willing to stand firm on what she needs, nothing less than him as an evolved man will do. She doesn't have a million soul ties to continue breaking with all these guys that don't deserve her. The moment that they showed them who they were, she believed them. The moment that they showed their true colors, she ain't try to paint them red flags green. And therefore, she was ready and in position to be found by that evolved man. Now, there are some of y'all who know how to cut ties from the bad guys, the guys that don't deserve you, but you don't know how to position yourself for a man who is mentally and value-wise, character-wise, equally yoked with you, an evolved man. And if you want more information on that, I went in on the masterclass, Secrets to Making Evolved Men Crave You, where I broke down the strategies, tens of thousands at this point, of women are already using to position themselves for the evolved man. Evolved men, so they can choose the right one that's for them. Now, if you want access to that masterclass, click the link that you see pinned right here in the comments. Click that link, register, come back after this live chat is over, get access to that so you can get the strategies. Over an hour, I went in on how as a woman you could position yourself to be found by evolved men, not men that constantly disappoint you and underwhelm you. But back to what I was saying. Whenever a man pulls out that whole, all you like to do is argue, all you like to do is fight, all you like to do is stress me out card, no matter how effectively and carefully and intentionally and tactfully you're communicating with him, something that makes him uncomfortable, ultimately what he's saying is, I don't care anything about your emotional well-being or your safety in this relationship. And if a man doesn't care about your emotional well-being or your safety in a relationship, that ain't the relationship for you. Straight up. But those are just my thoughts. If you got anything from this live chat, share it right now on your page for somebody else who can be blessed by this message. And if you're in the market for an evolved man, again, do not miss this before it comes down. Click the link that you see pinned right here down in the comments. Click that link, get access to the free masterclass, Secrets to Making Evolved Men Crave You, so you can get the strategies to attract the man that you actually deserve. Holla at y'all later, y'all be good.